Back now at 7:30 on CBS Mornings, and we are hearing from a woman suing Facebook's parent company over the murder of her brother. Angela Underwood Jacobs is challenging a controversial law that protects social media companies from liability for things posted on their networks. Her brother, Pat Underwood, was working as a federal officer guarding a U.S. courthouse in Oakland, California in 2020 when the FBI says he was shot dead by anti-government extremists who allegedly met and organized on Facebook. In her first national television interview, she explains why she believes that her brother would still be alive today if not for Facebook. On the night of May 29, 2020, not far from protests over the murder of George Floyd, a surveillance camera captured this white van outside the federal courthouse in Oakland, California. Investigators say the vehicle pulled forward as the door slid open and someone inside opened fire, wounding one federal security officer and killing another.
An assassin cowardly shot two Federal Protective Service contractors as they stood watch over a protest.
According to a criminal complaint, Robert Justice Jr. drove the van while Stephen Carrillo pulled the trigger, using the protest as cover for an anti-government attack. Both men have pleaded not guilty. And yet,
the world is a little less better now with him not being in it.
Angela Underwood Jacobs is the sister of murdered officer Pat Underwood, and she says there was a third accomplice that tragic night: Facebook. If not for Facebook, do you think your brother would still be with us today?
I do. I believe that if Facebook had acted with the information that they had privy to, that no one else had, of course I do.
In a new wrongful death lawsuit, she alleges Justice and Carrillo had never met in person and had no reason to cross paths until a Facebook group brought them together. The suit claims the social media network recommended Justice join groups dedicated to the extremist Boogaloo movement, where the two men connected and hatched and planned the attack.
They had the information that could have stopped all of this, and they sat on it. They choose to not hand over the information to authorities.
Ted Leopold is her lawyer. If Facebook were monitoring that, what makes you comfortable with them determining what is just people talking and what is a crime?
They know through their actions of bringing these extremist groups together that bad things are going to happen. And they know through their own algorithms that there are code words that these groups use. And so I don't think anything that was happening amongst communications of these groups was unknown to Facebook.
But he acknowledges lawsuits of this kind have never succeeded against social media companies because of Section 230, part of a broader 1996 Internet law which protects Internet platforms from being held liable for content posted by users. Leopold says that law should no longer apply to Facebook.
They don't fit within the guidelines of Section 230. They don't get to be immunized by the section.
So you're saying everyone thinks that they're protected by Section 230, but where you sit, their behavior is so outside of what that section is intended for that we're in a different world.
That's right, because they provide the content. They drive people to various groups. They bring groups in that otherwise would not be there but for Facebook actively bringing them to their platform.
Have you heard from Facebook?
Not at all.
Facebook, for its part, declined our request for an interview. But in a statement, it calls the lawsuit without legal basis and says it's banned more than 1,000 militarized social movements from its platform. That includes the Boogaloo movement, a ban it announced a month after the murder of Pat Underwood.
It's kind of like they fueled the fire.
For Underwood Jacobs, that is the very definition of too little, too late. What do you think Pat would say if he knew all the details of what happened?
He would tell me to hang on. He would say, have faith that the right thing will be done so that other people wouldn't lose their lives the same way that he lost his.
So I'm very grateful for Angela Underwood coming and talking to us about this case. It's going to be a difficult case for her legally, but it's a helpful case for the country at the moment because Republicans and Democrats and Mark Zuckerberg all want these liability laws, Section 230, changed. But the complicated thing is how should they be changed? At what point does Facebook or any other social media company become liable for bringing people together, letting those people plan a bad thing, and then that bad thing happening in the world?
But did Facebook know they were planning a bad thing? That's what I'm confused about.
Well, according to Frances Haugen, the Facebook leaker, they know a lot more than they let on about these groups. The fact they banned the group after the fact speaks volumes. And the FBI says that what was actually communicated on Facebook was inflammatory. It had flames and pictures of dead law enforcement. And so that is the question. Should they have known? Did they have enough? Should they be liable?
And these extreme groups, they are birthed almost every day. So it's almost like finding a needle in a haystack, or something I heard recently on something we've done. It's like finding a needle in a stack of needles.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, so tough to do.
Yeah. But at some point, if you got an amusement park and they keep throwing rides out because bad things happen, do you go to that amusement park anymore? I don't know.
It's a good point.
Yeah, you do. No.
No.
No.